Ms. Byers King, Ms. Cho, Ms. Hans Silver, Ms. Morel, Ms. Richter, Ms. Ramba, Mr. Rubino, Ms. Stasu, Ms. Colbath. You have quorum.
The board convened executive session at 5 p.m. Discuss legal and personnel and confidential matters. Including by sharing your superintendent's report.
So just some feedback.
So for our server, HIP report, we had 2 investigations since the last meeting, both were unfounded, they were discussed in closed session with the board. The fire and security drills are made and posted on the board website. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Russell, principal of the intermediate school. We have a performance in some of our students, and Mrs. Russell introduces the group.
Personally, and just last week, and got in person for the first time, twice, right? I'm not gonna say that, twice in person, but I'm sure that you are going to love hearing that. Okay, so, we have a bigger group. But we're very excited to be here and have an opportunity. Okay, today.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Board, we appreciate it. It's always nice when we have students at the board meeting. So, to continue on, I ask to summarize. So, Mrs. Baker, can we talk about?
Online programs that we are summer. Yes. Providers. Was done as easily as possible. Parents will take advantage of these resources. They have a rainy day during the summer and they just want to have something to do. Or learning experience. So that's.
I just want to as a board, current plan going to be submitted, actually a compliance document for the federal government. The plan is general. So, answer those questions will be based upon the rules that are in place right now. Change, obviously, the you'll see, look at that, we'll say at the last paragraph, that this is all subject to change based upon regulations of the government. So, as I'm looking at this, in the broad scope of this, because as I said, this is simply a document that we were required to submit grant funding of the actual current plan is being worked on as we speak. And then we'll have that up and ready for September. It's a very broad document, doesn't have a lot of detail, based on the protocol and regulations we have to follow. That's the way it is. How things change. Do you want to go through that?
September. Process. Process. Without the submission of that plan. So in that plan, as Mr. Riddle also stated, it's pretty much assuring that we are currently complying with all state health and safety protocols by the State Department of Health, and the local Department of Health. Essentially saying we're doing everything that we're currently supposed to be doing. Every 60 days, we'll be revisiting that plan, and obviously that plan is subject to change as guidance from our state health department changes. Before, in order to be eligible to receive, we have to submit that plan. It is essentially a template, and each section only has 1,000 character limit. And so actually, 1,000 characters is not a lot. I would say quickly just how much the characters is. And so we're not really able to go into as much detail. But we will be deal and end all of our plan. We will be working on a more robust plan for the beginning of the school year.
So when they tested earlier, they didn't think the microphones were needed because we initially asked for microphones, so they did a test. And unfortunately, it's not working properly as they expected. We thought there were going to be mics, but they are. Are the microphones available to get, Frankie? Because we can do that.
What, you want to take a 5-minute recess and go to Zoom?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Yes. Yep.
Morel, second. Charles, for a 5-minute recess, so can sign into Zoom. Any opposed? Okay. So I think you have to go to the email.
Is there a thing?
Yes. We're taking a recess.
Community, there was a community forum, and some of the details as to recurring themes and characteristics, I'll send an email to all of you with those specifics rather than take up tonight. Any other reports? May I have a motion to open the, do board members have any questions or comments on any items on tonight's agenda? May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion. Second, Richter.
Motion Morel, second Richter, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We will hear first from any members that are here present in the cafetorium. And then we'll take questions and comments from those participating remotely. I'll describe how we will do the remote participation once we finish with anyone who wants to speak who's here in the room. Do we have anyone? So could you approach the microphone and identify yourself and your address at the podium?
I already did sign in, thank you. Can I take, should I keep my mask on? Tell me when to go. You want me to go now? Good afternoon. For the record, Christina Saab, parent of Hoyt and Tay Steele. I wanted to address the incident at the last PTA election at School 1 and explain to the rest of the parents and to the board today in person as to what happened that day. On election day, I was a target of retaliatory practices by Mrs. Giacomelli. This was a result of my May 13th formal complaint to the district regarding Mrs. Giacomelli's intimidating and threatening behavior towards the parents. Despite filing a complaint, I was not able to meet with the HR officer until June 8th. And at that meeting, I had to insist to speak to the superintendent. I met with both Mr. Rhoda and Ms. Murphy, the HR director, but I have not heard updates from that investigation as of today from either of them. Because I felt silenced, I decided to attend the next PTA meeting. Tanya, the PTA president, knew that I would be present at the meeting of the election because the day before the meeting, she warned me that I was not allowed to make any other comments aside from the election matters at the meeting. I expressed my disappointment, but told her I understood. her directions and complied on the election day. That day, right before the meeting was to start, Tanya came to my table to let me know that only paid PTA members can vote. I inquired when the notice to sign up to be the member in order to vote was sent out, since I was only notified of the election the night before. Tanya then spoke in a large tone in front of parents who are not members, mostly Asian parents, that it should be a given that only members can vote, just like you need to be an American citizen here in America to be able to vote. I then turned to Mrs. Giacomelli about notice and transparency of the election process as she was standing close by. She started waving her finger saying, "Oh no, not now. I cannot deal with this today." And she started walking away. I then inquired again, "Mrs. Giacomelli, where is notice and transparency here? This is an unfair election process." Then promptly the security guard came to me and asked me to leave the building because I was not a member of the PTA. I then requested to the security guard to allow me to stay because I have 2 children at school 1, and I'm a parent here, that I belong here and I can stay here. Then the school security guard in a loud tone and a gesture said, "No, I am the security guard. You need to leave, and you need to leave now." And she was screaming, which is all recorded in the video, that a parent who recorded the video is so afraid of retaliation, refused to allow me to share it with other people. My treatment towards that day was example how parents are retaliated when they speak up in front of the PTA and in front of Mrs. Giacomelli. I want to note here that this is inconsistent with how others were treated that day, since there was also non-members present, including a newly elected member who was not only a non-member, but now appointed to the board PTA position by the PTA president herself, Tanya, at the meeting in front of everyone while I was being asked to leave for asking merely a question about the unfair voting process. I see the emails going back and forth as to why parents couldn't speak up that day about the election process. Well, I did speak up, and which resulted in my public humiliation in front of my children's teachers and their fellow classmates' parents. For anyone who attended the meeting and knew that I filed a complaint, it was not hard to see that Mrs. Giacomelli was making a statement that day, using me as an example to show other parents that this too can happen to you if you speak up. That day, Mrs. Giacomelli stood nearby and allowed her security guard and her staff who worked under her supervision to yell and humiliate a parent in an enclosed space filled by my children's teachers and their fellow classmates' parents. Now, although I, along with other parents, now signed up to be a PTA member, I am not even allowed to vote because Tanya and Mrs. Giacomelli imposed a June 10th membership registration deadline to vote. So here we are. I'm requesting the board here today to take appropriate action so that as a principal and agent of the Fort Lee school system, Mrs. Giacomelli stop putting parents in fear of speaking up by her intimidating tactics and public embarrassment of parents who do speak up. As a non-PTA member was able to be elected into a position, as soon as I had noticed, I registered. I should be given the same opportunity to be able to vote if a non-member is able to be elected into a position. I'm requesting the school and the board today to listen to my request so that all parents can be treated fairly with equal opportunities so the school one carries a consistent practice towards all parents and students. Thank you. To answer any questions you guys have.
Our administration right now is in the middle of an investigation, as Mr. Rhoda told you, so.
No, actually, Mr. Rhoda did not tell me that we're under investigation. I have not heard back from Mr. Rhoda nor Ms. Murphy. The only people who I heard back was from the board, some of the members of the board, and actually a councilman. Mr. Rhoda himself has never reached out to me directly aside from the first meeting that I met with him, nor did the HR director, Ms. Murphy. I have not heard back from the school about anything.
Because there's nothing to report right now. There is an investigation going on, and even the results of that investigation, because it may involve personnel matters, will not be released to the public. So those things are any personnel type action is highly confidential.
So as a board member, I'm asking you, then how will the parents get any resolution? If everything is done behind the doors, where are the transparencies and how will parents know what happened? And isn't this why these kind of behaviors are able to continue in the same pattern, because I am told by other parents that this is not anything new, that this is a consistent pattern of how she behaves in the past. In fact, I am told that she was suspended from another school, and that's why she was demoted to school 1. But even that, you know, that's, none of the parents are aware of it. None of the parents are told what's going on, and we're left in the dark. So how are parents able to come to a resolution if we're not told about what happened? Could you explain that process to me? And if that's not in place, will the board consider something so that there's transparency, those parents are aware of what's going on?
The process is very simple. There is an investigation going on now of the various complaints that were made. You've got to let the process conclude, and that's ongoing. And then in terms of whatever the conclusions are, if they involve staff of the district, the law is that that is confidential and there won't be any public announcement to parents about it. That, you know, we have to work within the confines of the law.
So I'm told that I'm able to do open records request.
And that's your prerogative. And I don't know what records you've requested or whether they're documents that are confidential. If they're public records, then our business administrator and board secretary will comply with it. And that usually happens in very short order. It's not something that takes months, but I don't know what you've requested. So you will absolutely receive a response to any Oprah request that you've submitted. The board doesn't get involved in that. Our board secretary and the administration handles the responses to Oprah requests.
So I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to turn this back to you because you're the board. So you're telling me, and what I'm hearing from you is that parents can make a complaint, but we will not be hearing of any resolution to our complaint. We can voice our opinions as much as we want, but we won't be hearing the resolution of our complaint.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
But at this point, the complaints that have been made are being looked into, and you must allow the process to conclude.
So I understand that, but at the end of the conclusion of the investigation, will the parents be notified as to what happened?
And I can't give you that answer because I don't know what the resolution is of the investigation.
Okay.
And so you know that there is, I think, rescheduled an election. So you've already gotten some feedback because the board doesn't get involved in PTA matters. We have a policy that the PTA is a separate entity organization, and we don't meddle in the PTA affairs.
And with all due respect to you, I understand that board does not get involved with the PTA matters, but I just explained to you that the PTA practices are inconsistent. We have a non-member here
and
that's against the bylaws who was able to get elected into a position. I am now a member.
We're not going to have point counterpoint. I've told you that there is an investigation going on. You've got to wait until the conclusion of that, and then decisions will be made. We're not accomplishing anything by you. We've heard your complaint. You've put them in writing. I assure you they are being addressed. And that's all I can say at this point on that subject.
And I would like to ask you one more question then. Am I going to get a resolution to my complaint?
And I'm going to say it for a third
matter,
time.
and I will not get a resolution.
I'm going to say the same thing that I've said. Until there's a conclusion of the investigation, I don't know what the conclusion will be. I can't assure you of anything. What I can assure you of is if it involves an employee, we're not going to make a public announcement. We're not going to notify you in writing or any other parents. Those are highly confidential matters that we're not permitted to discuss, and we don't report to parents. So again, we take your complaints very seriously. They're being looked at, and please give the process some time to conclude. And
So
we appreciate your comments.
I'm going to trust that you guys are handling it appropriately, and I will wait.
I'm not I've given you a response. We're not going to spend the evening going back and forth. So I'd appreciate it if you would let another member speak.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me just say this, that I have been in touch with the president of the state PTA today, also with the Bergen County rep, and they are handling the PTA election matter. They will be in district to conduct a new election.
Good.
And I asked for if they needed assistance, and that's our conversation. So they're handling all that. And I also asked them some other questions related to what you brought up about eligibility and those things. So I'm waiting to get a response from them.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else present like to speak, please?
I'm Michelle Perez, and I live in Midwest. I just wanted to say thank you for the summer program, the extension of the apps you saved me a bunch of money because I was looking to get something for my kids. So I appreciate it, especially this year. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I saw another hand.
So here, I brought the letter that's submitted to DOE members.
This is Victoria, right? Yeah. Victoria, could you just identify
Oh, yes.
yourself for the record and your address?
Okay. My name is Victoria Kim. I live at 2190 McKay Avenue, and I am current acting vice president in School 1 of PTA. I'm here to request. Okay, after I give up, I think it's important for you to read.
We can't hear what you're saying.
So that's the original filing letter, and this is the
I have it. Thank you.
So now I presented three copies of documents. One, the original complaint that I filed with New Jersey PTA about the election. Okay. And the second one is the list of bylaw violations. Also the evidence of the where president and the principal were not impartial during the election. And the third one is the actual letter that I'm going to read. I think as just Christina, so she just explained what happened. There were multiple violations, and I filed the complaints. And there were recommendations by New Jersey PTA to open membership for 1 day so that everyone can join and renew their membership, and also change the time to 7 p.m. when all the public meetings are held, so that everyone can come and vote. And now even the principal and the president, they ignored all the recommendations given by New Jersey PTA, and I will not now I have to redo the election no opportunity to give speech because they're gonna start the ballot like 8:45 when the teacher arrives, and I won't be able to give any speech then. And the same setup that was done in original election, June 15, where all teachers can be forced to vote when the presidents and principals were not impartial. So I'm gonna read this. Dear Mr. Rhoda, Mrs. Colbert. In the enclosed letter, you will see that we have brought to the attention of the New Jersey PTA that a PTA election recently held at Fort Lee School Number 1 violating multiple aspects of the PTA bylaw. You can see in the enclosed letter. And I was optimistic. And New Jersey PTA will guide the local chapter in the hosting election. And actually, I mean, they did give the correct guidance, but I didn't receive any, all recommendations were ignored. So this letter is to you not solely about the bylaws or PTA election, it's about the representation of Asian community in the Fort Lee School District and faculty, staff, and volunteering groups. What happened? In a recent School Number 1 PTA election, School 1 principal and outgoing PTA president, Tanya Kang, who is a sitting member of the Board of Education, took several steps that violated PTA bylaws based on the text exchanges on the appendix that I sent you. With outgoing PTA present, these steps appear to have been taken in response to perceived criticism of her tenure as PTA president, and the candidates running for her position, Victoria Kim, campaigned on a platform of doing things differently. The net result of these steps will likely lead no Asian representation of the School 1 PTA board, because already in the election, all 4 non-Asian nominees were elected. And I was And we see this occurrence as representative of deeper problem in the district. In this case, 2 women in positions of power who do not reflect the racial makeup of the district, encouraging and backing a candidate that maintains the norm in the district. It is important to know that Tanya Bayer-Kang has served the school community for a decade as a PTA president, and we are grateful for her service to our school and community. This letter is not to undermine her past accomplishments, but it is instead about the future to urge the Board of Education, of which she is now a member, and a broader school district to indeed do things differently, proactively encourage, cultivate volunteers, and hire more candidates that better represent our student and family population, and certainly not, as happened in this case, openly and actively set barriers to inclusion. In this situation, the school principal had an opportunity to encourage PTA volunteers so that there were multiple candidates running that would better reflect her student body, and importantly, not to overly back any given candidate, particularly one that does not offer greater racial diversity on the PTA board. Representation matters, and the role of the school principal played in this election was disappointing. Why this matters to the district? The Fort Lee School District, its teaching and administrative staff do not reflect the racial and cultural makeup of our school district. A 2019 article in New Jersey Spotlight News, which features a self-reported school district data, showed that Fort Lee has 72% non-white students, yet 80.6% of staff and faculty are white. Asian students make up 46.6% of the student body, yet just 9.2% of staff and faculty are Asian, and 0% of the principals. A gap persists across African American and Latino students as well. Numerous studies have shown the benefits of a diverse school leadership and teaching faculty and staff, including better outcomes for students, a stronger community, and higher expectation for students.
On 2018 Johns Hopkins study showed that students who had at least one teacher of the same race in the elementary school by third grade were 13% more likely enroll in college, and those who had two were 32% more likely. From the hiring of the new superintendent to principal's engagement with the PTA and other volunteer group to the hiring of teachers and staff, we have an opportunity to
Victoria,
do things differently.
we generally have, and I want you to finish and you have our undivided attention. I just want to remind you though, that we do operate with a 3-minute, and I'm letting you go over, but I would like you to try to get to your
I'm
main
almost
point.
there. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we called the Board of Education and leadership across all schools, regardless your race and ethnicity, to be champions of passionate advocates for diversity, inclusion, and equity. We ask you take into consideration into your own performance measures and assessment, including for Board of Education members and school principals, what active steps you are taking to encourage greater representation across all aspects of schools, volunteers and otherwise, and what steps you are actively taking to close the racial gaps and disparities in our district in terms of our education outcomes and in representation. We are grateful for your consideration of this request and welcome the response. So basically, based on the election, this is the request for you to take consideration and do something about it to make a fair and non-discriminatory election for School 1. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Everyone, Mr. Rhoda, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Baker, President Colbath, and board members. While I'm mindful there are some important and serious matters before the board this evening, I do want to recognize Mr. Rhoda and Dr. Amato for their contributions to the district. And knowing how much Ken likes when people talk about him, I've got a lot to say. So I just want to thank Mr. Rhoda for just being the right leader at the right time for Fort Lee School District and the Fort Lee community. I've learned in my years, people tend to have a very short memory, and when things are going smoothly, it's even shorter. But to take you back in time a little bit, back in 2015, when Ken joined us, we were just coming out of a 2-year interim superintendentship of Paul Saxton that was transformational. Prior to Paul, from 2000 to 2015, we went through 12 superintendents in 15 years. So for Ken to serve Fort Lee for 6 years in the real world is many more years. And, Paul helped pass the $50 million referendum. He initiated the Chromebook one-to-one program. He upgraded our facilities for sports and science labs, but he didn't actually get the shovels in the ground. He just got us to that point, which was monumental with the support of the board. And Ken showed up on day one in the midst of massive construction projects, had to get these Chromebooks into the students' hands and design a curriculum that incorporated them. And he worked very closely with Dr. Amato on that program and with our technology department. But not everybody could have handled that. It was just a monumental undertaking. 3 schools, including the one we're sitting here today, was part of that construction project. As I'm sure Jack and Scott can attest, not everything went according to plan from day one. And there were a lot of sleepless nights and late nights. And Ken, you just brought this calmness, this confidence, Your integrity and your values were uncorruptible. Even, you and I worked well together, in my opinion, and we agreed on a lot, but even when we disagreed, there was a mutual respect. We moved on. You very even and calm, at times hard to believe I got a little animated. But and there were some late nights in your office on negotiations when we both hoped things would have been a little better, and you would just give me the look and shake your head, and I just lift my hands like, what do you want me to do? And that stability and calmness served this district so well. And when several board members and I first got on the board, the high school was at the bottom of the top 100 list. I think it was 97th in the NJ Monthly. And I know you don't like statistics and rankings and you just show up for work. But, at this time, as of 2 years ago, we were already breaking through 75, so on our way to being a top half high school in the state. And I remember, memory comes back about Joe Serace, may he rest in peace. He said, Ken, I want championships. I want sports to do better here in Fort Lee. And you're like, Joe, I can only hire the coaches. I can't play the game for them. But under your leadership and the teams you assembled, multiple state sectional state titles, some for the first time in school history, across the board in multiple sports. And you never took credit for anything. You never looked for cameras or press. You just showed up every day and did your job. And I just want to say how much respect and how much I admired the way you handled things here in Fort Lee. Big shoes to fill. And this district, this community really owes a debt of gratitude to you. And I would also like to acknowledge the many years of service of Dr. Amato. She too served the district through turbulent, unsettling times. She handled very difficult environments and climates with grace and steadiness. And you were a great pair to get this district to where it is today. And I thank you for that.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. I think you went over the 3 minutes though.
So just so the public knows, we're going to have more of a celebration when we get through some of our business items. We do have a catered buffet outside the door with cake and everything for Ken, and we welcome you all to stay and join us in that celebration for both Ken. And when Dr. Amato retired last fall, we honored her through the Zoom, but we couldn't have the festivities in person. So our celebration tonight and is for both of them. And so again, we hope you will all stay and share in the food and drink that we have. But we'll have more comments on Ken once we get through our business agenda. Anyone else from, yes, Joey.
Hi, good evening. My name is Joe Capolini, known as Joey Pizza. I live in the Bronx. I have an address. I work here in Fort Lee for about 21 years. And just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Rhoda, on behalf of the other custodians. 6 years I've been working with you, to the supervisor, with a couple of them. And just wanted to say thank you for everything you did, especially through this pandemic. It was a rough one. But we got through it and things are going good right now. But I just want to thank you, and I would like to thank the board too. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Any other individual? Yes, please approach the podium.
Hi, I'm Ava Colombo Walzer. I'm an 8th grade student at the middle school. My request is that you guys make your the programs and all of the opportunities much more apparent, because I'm sorry, I had nothing prepared. This was a little nervous. Because it was brought to my attention by a teacher of mine that there was a program that was paid for that was accessible to all the students, but not really, nobody really knew about it. And it's a video editing software. And I was just thinking that there must be a lot of other programs and opportunities that the board and the school district has paid for that the students don't know about. So I was wondering if you guys could make it a little bit more apparent and obvious, because students are a little oblivious to those things.
David, thanks for your time here tonight. Could you send me an email and explain specifically what you're talking about? And I'll follow up on that and make sure it gets out to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Would anyone else like to make any comments? Okay, so we will go to our remote participants. The process we're going to follow is please select the raised hand button in the upper left corner of your screen. Our board secretary, Hakisha Taylor, will recognize each community member in the order of the raised hands by lowering the hand and unmuting the microphone if you're muted. Please then state your name and your home address for the record and begin your comments. And again, we try to limit the comments to 3 minutes, but if you're saying nice things about Ken, I'll let you go on for as long as you want. Do we have any raised hands? I couldn't hear you, Hakisha. Are you muted?
You have to unmute yourself, Hyun Jung Kim. You have the floor.
You're muted. You have to unmute yourself. Hyun Jung Kim, you remain muted. Please unmute yourself and make your comments.
There are no other raised hands, President Colbert.
Okay.
Oh
Hyun,
wait, Sarah, a couple have
Okay.
added. I'll leave Hyun Jung Kim. Perhaps she will get her audio working. Sarah, I am promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your comment and your video if you so choose. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Sarah?
Great. Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
yes, Sarah, we can hear you.
Oops.
Friction. I'm a mother of 2 kids in the school district, of first grader and a third grader. My address is 2454 2nd Street, Fort Lee. I've been a resident of Fort Lee for 5 years now, a very happy resident. I wanted to thank and congratulate Dr. Rhoda, Mr. Rhoda on his retirement, and Dr. Amato too, and thank them for their service. As a participant of the board meeting too, I also wanted to just lift up, there was a school mom that went right before the really great comments on Ken, on Mr. Rhoda. And I wanted to lift up some of the things that she said. I thought the timing of those 2 comments were really important for our district. So one was really honoring the great work that's happened to get us to the point we're at. And I heard the school one mom, I can't speak to what happened at the PTA election, but the points that she made I thought were really important and should be lifted up. I heard her talking about representation in the district, heard her talk about diversity in the district. And that's something that's very dear to my family's heart. When we look to the future of this district And we look at, again, the educational outcomes and opportunity gaps that we're seeing consistently in our student body each year when the state performance testing comes back. And we see those gaps by race. And I know I say this a lot, but I'd like to just reiterate again, I think it should be the #1 priority. And as we look to hiring in Ken's great shoes, a lot of important shoulders to stand on, whatever the best metaphor is, hiring a diverse candidate that would reflect the makeup of our student district, teachers, principals, and staff are so important. In this case, I heard a mom talking about, on behalf of the Asian community in Fort Lee, saying she was taking part in a volunteer group and didn't feel represented or welcomed. And that's important. I think that's something that we as a community and as a Board of Education should respond to. And we will look at the demographics in our district and our hiring practices. They need to change. So my point then, I hope I'm not over my 3 minutes, is that I do think this is a pivotal moment as we look to the future. And her comments about representation, diversity, and equity in our district are so important. And so I wanted to lend support to that and really underscore it for the board that that's something I do think deserves an ongoing response and a #1 priority in our district. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Young Jung Kim. Feel free to unmute yourself, share your video and your comment. Young Jung Kim.
I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We can hear you now.
Okay, I made a mistake.
You don't have a comment?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
No
sorry about that.
problem. No problem. Amy Kotang, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes, Amy.
Hi, how are you, everyone? My name is Amy Kotang. I am a School 3 parent volunteer, and I live on 435 Westview Place. Thank you all for your service to the community. And I know we're getting to the year end, so it's been an extremely difficult year. We started with marathon meetings at the beginning of the year, and I just want to make sure that you know we don't forget your service, and we are thankful. And I'm here because 2 things. I share with the broader, with the search firm, a couple of concerns that I had, and I want to raise it here because I think that this is the right time as we're trying to find a shoe big enough to fill into Ken, the one that Ken is leaving behind. The team that is conducting the search consists of 2 Caucasian male and 1 Latino male. And on the board here, obviously, we have 7 Caucasian members and 2 Asian members. And to that fact, I just want to to reiterate Sarah's point. As you look through your lenses, I want to ask you to please help identify blind spot that you may have, and to help us find candidates who are able to be aware, even if even if it's not going to check every single boxes as we move forward. Fort Lee is the largest Asian community in Bergen County. We should not just be following the trend. We should be setting the trend. We should be a leader in diversity. We shouldn't be a follower in diversity. 1 out of 6 member in the Bergen community, in the Bergen County community, is Asian American. In Fort Lee school community, that's almost 1 out of 2. So I just want to reiterate that point as we are conducting this search. And the second point I want to raise tonight is the sensitivity of our leadership to Asian American parents. I personally had an incident following a meeting last year at the peak of pandemic. PTA presidents and officers were asked to attend a meeting with the school leaderships, include administrators and Mr. Rhoda, to discuss concern that we have. And this is back, I believe, last May. And I was the first one to voice concern about Asian hate. I was worried for my kids. I was worried for other kids who look like my kids who may be targeted because of what they look like and the national rhetoric that was going on. And after the meeting, an administrator came up to me and said, "You have nothing to worry My ancestor went through the same thing. You'll get over it. And to that person, I said, with all due respect, with your Italian heritage, your kids will one day blend in. My kids will never, ever blend in with their physical looks. Do you understand? Do you hear me? So in the light of Stop Asian Hate, I want to raise that again tonight because it's raised again by other parents. This administrator clearly don't understand what it's like to be empathetic to someone who's scared. Race is so difficult to talk about. It's so hard to talk about for me. I've never talked about it until this Stop Asian Hate, when I realized I have been suppressing that voice, and I'm using that voice tonight. That administrator was Miss Giacomelli. I don't share that lightly. I kept that in my heart. There were other parents present when this discussion happened. Sensitivity, awareness is what our leaders need. And I want to add that to your investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
There are no other hands raised at this time, President Koba.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't say it quick enough.
In Hai Ju, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. In Hugh Gu.
You remain muted. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Excuse me, I need a translation, please. Korean translation, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Christina, can you translate for her? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's fine.
Go ahead. 얘기해.
네. 저는 아이들 간의 문제로 저희 부부와 또 상대방 측 부부 입회하에 양측 부모들 간의 회의를 열어줄 것을 좌카밀리에게 이메일로 요청을 했는데 그 어떤
내가 그만큼만 먼저 거기 translate
네, 네.
There was an incident at the school where I requested for both parents to be able to meet with Mrs. Giacomelli. Go ahead. 얘기해.
근데 교장으로부터 그 어떤 설명도 또 타당한 이유도 없이 단번에 회의를 열어줄 수 없다는 거절의 이메일을 받았습니다.
Without any explanation from Mrs. Giacomelli as to why she will not allow the parents to meet together, Mrs. Giacomelli told us that she would not be meeting with the parents. And in that email, she capitalized NOT in bold print.
이로써 일단 학교가 해야 할 일, 본분을 저버렸다고 생각을 하는데 그 거절의 이메일을 보냈을 때에도 앞에서 말했던 것처럼 대문자와 언더라인을 치는 등 약간 학부모를 조롱하는 듯한 이메일을 받아서 상당히 기분이 좋지 않았습니다. 그리고
When I received that email, I felt like she was talking down to the parents and being condescending because of the message, the way she wrote the email, capitalizing, underlining the word. Go ahead.
그리고 학교에서 잠시 교장과 만나서 이야기를 나눌 때가 있었는데 왜 미팅을 열어주지 않는지 그리고 아이들을 왜 한 곳에 모아서 위협적으로 질문을 했는지 이런 것에 관해서 질문을 하는데 교장 선생님은 손가락질을 하면서 큰 음성으로 소리를 지르고 마스크를 벗고 침을 튀기면서 교육자로서 교장 선생님으로서 하지 않아야 할 행동을 학부모인 저희에게 했습니다.
So there was an opportunity for me to speak with Mrs. Giacomelli in front of the school playground. And Mrs. Giacomelli, and when I was talking with Mrs. Giacomelli, she started shouting and yelling at the parents, waving her fingers and speaking in a loud tone and demonstrating behaviors that an exemplary school principal should not be demonstrating to the parents.
저는 교장 선생님께 침을 튀기면서 크게 소리를 치시길래 마스크를 써달라고 예의 바르게 요청을 했지만 그녀는 너가 뒤로 가라고 소리를 치며 그 큰 키로 위협을 하고 상체를 다가와서 저희에게 약간 싸움을 거는 듯한 액션을 취했고 결과적으로 시큐리티에 의해서 그 교장의 그런 행동을 제지를 당했고 교장 선생님은 시큐리티에게 끌려가듯이 그 행동을 약간 멈추라는 제지를 받으면서 대화를 더 이상 이어갈 수 없는 상황이 벌어졌습니다.
When Mrs. Giacomelli was speaking with us, she was shouting and yelling and spitting without her mask on. So when I asked her to put a mask on, Mrs. Giacomelli lunged over and said, "Then you back off." And then because of her actions, the security who was observing the situation had to come and escort Mrs. Giacomelli back into the building. And there was no resolution of my concerns about my child, Mrs. Giacomelli.
저는 학부모와 교장은 모두가 서로에게 예의를 지켜야 하는 관계라고 생각을 합니다. 학부모가 어떤 이슈에 대해서 학교에 의견을 제시할 때 일방적으로 무시당하지 않고 서로 예의를 지키는 선에서 자유롭게 의견을 주고받을 수 있는 관계가 되어야만 한다고 생각을 합니다.
I believe that there should be a free communication between parents and school, and that the parents should not be afraid to be able to speak their mind in front of the school administration.
하지만 교장은 학부모에게 손가락질을 하고 소리를 쳤고 위협을 하는 듯한 강한 제스처를 취했고 그 후로도 그 어떤 대답도 의견도 들을 수 없었습니다.
That day, Mrs. Giacomelli demonstrated threatening, intimidating behavior where she was pointing fingers at us and then lunging her body towards me, making me feel intimidated. And without any resolution to my child's complaint.
부모에게도 이런 행동을 하는 교장 선생님의 모습을 보면서 부모가 없는 학교 안에서 교장 선생님은 우리 아이들에게 어떤 행동을 할지, 우리 아이들이 무엇을 보고 배울 수 있을지 회의를 느낄 수밖에 없었습니다.
I'm disappointed that the principal and head of our school is demonstrating this kind of behavior towards the parents and can't help wonder how she's treating our children if she's able to demonstrate these kind of behaviors towards the parents.
분명한 것은 그날 교장은 학부모인 우리에게 다소 위협적인 행동을 취했고 보안 직원이 교장의 무례한 행동을 말려주었기 때문에 학교 안으로 끌려 들어갔고 우리는 대화가 이루어질 수 없었습니다. 지금과 같은 이런 독재적인 분위기에서는 학교에서 그 어떤 의견도 제시할 수 없고 학교 내에서 발전도 있을 수 없다는 생각을 합니다. 이런 교육 현장에서 아이들이 과연 무엇을 배울 수 있을지 생각합니다.
So because of these kind of threatening, intimidating behavior, it's not easy for parents to speak up, right? Because of intimidation, we are not able to communicate with the school effectively about the issues of our children. Yes. Go ahead. I would know this because it's echoing, that's why I stepped up. No problem. Okay, go ahead. Okay. 마지막으로 네가 원하는 거를 얘기해달라고 말씀드리니까 마지막으로 네가 원하는 학교에서 어떤 제시를 원하는지.
교장이라는 직책에 맞는 본분을 성실히 행해준다면 학부모들도 교장에게 신뢰를 가지고 그에 맞는 단합을 보여줄 것입니다. 하지만 안타깝게도 그녀의 행동은 지금까지 그렇지 않고
That's fine. But you know, this is just a prime example as to why we feel silence, right? This is an important topic. That's why more parents are surfacing and they're getting encouraged to come out and speak with the board. You're limiting this time to 3 minutes, and then on a comment saying that, hey, we're going to come from this order and meeting go over. That in itself is unfair treatment. You're demonstrating that. So I understand, but this is important. Please allow us to speak. Okay. Okay. 마지막으로 학교가 어떤 거를 우리가 원했으면 좋겠냐고.
학부모에게 어떤 의견을 제시할 때마다 손가락질을 하고 소리를 지르고 무례한 행동을 하는 모습을 학교 내에서 저는 단 몇 개월밖에 학교 생활을 하지 않았지만 몇 번을 목격할 수 있었고 이런 무례한 행동을 아이들이 보고 어떤 걸 배울 수 있을지 고민을 하게 됐습니다. 교육자라는 신분에 맞는 적절한 그 적절한 행동을 해주기를 바라고, 과연 교장 선생님의 그 직책에 맞는 자질을 가진 사람인지, 지금 저와 같은 의견을 가진 사람들이 한둘이 아니고 계속해서 증언이 나오고 있기 때문에 저희는 솔직히 이 선거 일도 그렇고 학부모를 대하는 여러 가지 태도들에 대해서 그 자질 논란에 대해서 얘기를 하고 싶습니다.
The reason why I'm able to come forward today is because more and more parents are coming out and sharing the similar stories of inappropriate discriminating behaviors. I want to be able to bring to the board's attention that is this the professional character of a principal, of a leader of our school, and she's requesting the board to take that into consideration.
Thank you, In-Hugh Gu.
Thank you.
Ariel Mayer, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Ariel?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Ariel Mayer. I live at 2077 Center Avenue in Fort Lee, and my kids go to Fort Lee School 1. I want to say thank you to Kenneth Rhoda for your amazing years here as superintendent. Sorry to see you go. And I know it's been a tough year for everyone, so you're probably looking forward to retirement after all this. I am also thankful that we're having the Summer Bridges program, because I definitely know that one of my children needs the extra help. So I'm really grateful for that. And I just wanted to, even though this really isn't a Board of Ed matter, I just wanted to make a couple comments about what some of the other women have said, because I just feel like I have to, and it seems like we're doing it tonight. Like the PTA people who were running for positions, I don't understand why other Korean moms weren't running, and that the only opposing position was for president. There was certainly opportunity for other people to, run for secretary, run for treasurer, and run for vice president. And then Principal Giacomelli goes, even for me, she's been like tough. I have had things where I said I want to speak to her, that wasn't going to happen, not now. And I made appointments because she is a principal. She's running a tight ship. She does a great job. So I can understand that it's a lot when you have hundreds of students and dozens of teachers. And, I know that as far as business matters go, professional way is usually I've had to, make appointments and meet with her that way to speak about something very specific and individual to my child. And I don't know if I have anything else to say, but I did want to say that. There was one other thing, but now I can't remember. So I'll let it go to that. Thank you for letting me share.
All right. Thank you, Ariel.
Ping, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Ping.
Hi, my name is Ping Fang. Kenny, I'm school 1 parents. My daughter is on 4th grade and the 1st grade. And actually, I am completely shocked by what is happening, because I don't understand. I have been working with Tanya and Victoria, and I am also, I'm a friend with Ariel, and I don't understand. I was surprised because I did, voice my opinion about the first election. I think the time is not as convenient, because most of our, and not most, all of our virtual parents, because the time is actually the class, the class is going. So we cannot, the virtual parents definitely cannot go vote. And then I was wondering why, but since all the election has been run smoothly before, I didn't really give a second thought. And I'm just really sad. head right now because we have been we make Lunar New Year online activity for all the kids in our school. We have amazing teachers appreciation week. Victoria has personally made each binders for the teachers, and I don't understand. And the thing is, what comes to my attention that it bothers me the most was, since I was a virtual parent, but I'm also belongs to a chat group with all the Chinese and Taiwanese parents. Some of the parents was asking me, say, Ping, since you are in the committee, can you ask why can we vote? Because personally, I have been in PTA 5 years. I done our school's yearbook single-handed by myself. I mean, not by myself, but I have a parent to help me. I love School One, you know. Everybody works so hard. All the teachers are amazing. And somehow, something is missing here. The thing is, the day of election, I wasn't, because I couldn't be there. But some parents called me and said, Ping, why they told me that only the PTA paid member can vote? I said, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I should have told you, but I didn't know. And then what happened was teachers, they sent me a video of 27, 28 teachers being called to the gym just to vote for Ariel, one person. And I'm sorry, Ariel, I love you. The thing is, I know you will be a great president too. If you have been in the board, I haven't seen you in a PTA meeting for, I don't know, 2-3 years. I mean, maybe you are in some of them I did not know. I'm sorry, I take it back. Maybe you are in some of the PTA meetings I wasn't in. But, you know, a lot of activities and stuff, I didn't really see you. But you obviously, you have the opportunity to come and work with everybody, and we can make a great team. But how could you be in the election and you saw all the teacher being voice come to the gym, only voted for you, and you think that it's normal? It's so weird. And the security guard was being used to stop parents entering into the gym. I couldn't understand. I have been working with Tanya and Ms. Giacomelli. Personally, I don't have a problem with them. They were understanding when I discuss things with them. I never really have a problem, but that's why I couldn't understand what is happening. Parents deserve to know what's happening, especially one of the parents, actually not one, few of the parents told me, said, Ping, my kids wasn't, because some of them, their English was not their first language. They said, Ping, could you help me to ask the teacher, where are they? My kids are in the breakout room for 45 minutes. And one of the parents said, my kids are in the classroom with custodian for 45 minutes. With lunch, I don't know if it's lunch aid, but you know, because I did not know that until today or yesterday, because my kid's teacher was in the classroom. So I cannot say it affected me. And I asked the teacher, and then the teacher said, oh, you know, timer? I'm sorry. Is my time
continue.
sorry,
No, Ping, finish, please. Please,
Okay.
we're listening.
I just couldn't believe, I couldn't understand, because Victoria is our VP, and she only the second year parents, because her daughter is only the first grader here. So a lot of teachers might not know her because she was working behind the scene because of the pandemic. She was in the building doing all the stuff like preparing breakfast. I dropped off bread for our teacher at 7 o'clock. She was there helping me to pick it up, set it out on the table. And of course, for Tanya too. Tanya bought lunch bags and make sure we print a beautiful message on the lunch bag for all the teachers. So I really thought we are a team. I couldn't understand. Somebody can explain it to me. I am devastating here. Well, anyway, one of the most important thing really was why our children could be abandoned for 45 minutes while the teacher is being called down to vote for same person. I'm sorry, we're all friends. I don't want to hurt anybody. And I don't know what to do. I'm like, my husband's like, maybe we need to transfer to different school or something, or move. It's getting really weird. even I got the email threads from the NJPTA was trying to help us to get us a chance to vote, because a lot of parents told me, I am a member last year. We have 350 members last year. I think maybe over 300. I can't remember exactly the number. But this year, just a lot of parents forgot to vote, which they are being punished. But the teacher have never voted. I mean, they have the right to vote, totally. I just, very weird. They haven't really interested in voting for as long as I have been there. Suddenly they are all voted for the same person. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Okay, Ping, I think we understand what your position is, and we appreciate your comments. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Deanna, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Deanna Marcelli. I'm a teacher at School 1. I live in 1400 Hudson Street, Hoboken, New Jersey. I just wanted to touch base about a few things that were said on this meeting. I think it comes from, first off, I would like to say thank you, Mr. Rhoda, for the great job you have done over the past 6 years. You've served our community very well. And I know I speak on behalf of many of the teachers when I say that it's big shoes to fill, and we're definitely going to miss you. And same with you, Dr. Amato. As far as some of the things that were touched on during this meeting, I do agree, of course, that diversity is extremely important. I know one of the parents had asked what the district does in order to provide diversity. And I just wanted to clarify that teachers do have training. We have equity meetings, and it's very important that the parents do know that the administration takes it into their hands to provide us with, you know, different trainings, different PDs, and different things that happen throughout the school year in order to help us gain more knowledge on feelings, equity, equality, and all of that. I would also like to say that a lot of these emails that have been being sent to the teachers is a little concerning. I know I speak for myself and with many others when I say that it's super concerning when we see these emails of screenshots and text messages. I just don't think it's appropriate to be sharing this with the staff. If this is something that the board and, you know, other people can handle on their own, I think that would be fabulous. And as far as to answer Ping's question, teachers did leave their classroom, and it is the Parent Teacher Association. So we definitely do have the right to vote, like you did say. I know that many teachers have voted in the past. I'm not really sure when meetings are usually held, but the teachers that did go to vote were the teachers that did not have students in the classroom, or if they did, it was a co-teaching situation, and we had to decide who was going down. We were not forced to go down. And I would also like to say, as a young woman with 2 immigrant parents, Mrs. Giacomelli has never in my life made me feel not welcomed. She is kind, loving, and sincere, and I'm proud to be working for her. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Do we have any other raised hands? Yes.
HJQT, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. HJQT.
Hello.
Good evening. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Juyeon. I'm Juyeon Han. I live in 100 Old Palisade, 100 Old Palisade Road, PL8, Forley. I'm a parent of number 1, and I like to deliver it clearly because I have a language barrier. Could I ask for an interpreter just to shorten the time?
Yes.
Because of the shortage of the time, I meant.
오케이. 언니, 얘기할 때 한 제목만 얘기하면 내가 그거 통역하고 또 얘기하고 또 통역하고 할게요.
알겠습니다.
I'm not
네.
really like I need to. I have to do it in little pieces so I can interpret as we go. Okay, go ahead. 얘기하세요.
네. my main 제일 큰 걱정은 선생님들이 보트한 게 아니라 보트한 걸 한 사람한테 다 몰아줘서가 아니라
My concern is not one person.
이게 꼭 스쿨 아워에 지금 수업 시간 중에 그게 열어져야 됐는지 그게 좀 의문이고
Wants to so parent wants to inquire, should this meeting have to happen during the school hours?
그리고 저 또한 아까 그 에이시안 엄마 말하는 것처럼 미세스 자코멜리 한테 2년 전에 그런 비슷한 경험을 했습니다.
Just like the previous parent, 2 years ago, I received also the same intimidating, threatening treatment by Mrs. Giacomelli.
물론 저도 자코멜리 선생님이 항상 그렇게 화내는 모습을 본 건 아닙니다.
I'm here to. Yeah. Oh, my only thing is it echoes, but let me. Okay. And of course, I'm saying that Mrs. Giacomelli doesn't always treat parents in a threatening manner and with intimidation.
그렇지만 제가 당했었고 저는 굉장히 겁이 날 정도로 아주 가슴이 두근거릴 정도로 그 이후에 심지어 저는 약을 먹을 정도로 그 이후 좀 힘들었다고 얘기 좀 해주세요.
But when I experienced the intimidation from Mrs. Giacomelli, it was so intimidating that I started getting anxiety panic attacks to the point where I started taking anxiety medication because of the incident that happened with Mrs. Giacomelli.
뭐 그것 때문은 아니었지만 다시 먹게 된 거죠. 그건 포인트아웃 해주세요. 그 선생님 때문에 먹었다고는 얘기 안 했어요. Anyway, 이런 일들 때문에 저는 이게 그냥 선생님이 나이스한데 왜 이걸 문제 삼느냐 이런 식으로 묻혀지지 않길 바라고 선생님한테 대한 이런 문제가 계속 되어지지 않길 위해서 또 한번 포인트아웃 하고 싶고요. 다른
선생님이 언니 Mrs. Giacomelli 얘기하는 거죠?
네, 미세스 자코멜리가 이렇게 부모들에게 좀 위협적인 행동을 하는 게 다시는 일어나지 않기 위해서 다시 한번 저한테도 있었다는 일을 얘기하고 싶습니다. 아까 선생님이 자코멜리 선생님 좋다고 얘기하는데 그걸 못 본 것은 아니에요. 하지만 그런 것이 이렇게 업앤다운 한다는 것은 그거는
She wants to make sure that the board is aware that this is not always, but there's inconsistencies, right? There are times when Mrs. Giacomelli can be pleasant, and there are times when she can be kind and she can be nice. But then there's inconsistencies in her mood, and when she is intimidating, she's very intimidating and she's very threatening. So I'm not saying she's always this way, but when she is in a very frequent manner, she is very intimidating, and there's a lot of up and down.
이 일이 일어났던 건 확실한 거고 그런 것을 마치 선생님이 나이스한 일을 많이 했고 나이스 하시기 때문에 그걸로 덮여지지 않았으면 좋겠습니다. 이것은 분명히 저희가 의견을 얘기할 수 있는 거예요.
I want to make sure that people are aware that there is a problem with the election process. And all the stuff that Mrs. Giacomelli, all her kindness and niceness that the other people are talking about, that's great. And that can be recognized. But this incident and its isolation still needs to be addressed. It can't be covered by other people saying Ms. Giacomelli is a nice person and I'm glad that she's a nice person. She can be a nice person, but it's true that this incident happened and she's requesting the board to investigate the PTA incident. And also the intimidation by Mrs. Giacomelli towards other parents.
Thank you. 그거 일단 지목하고 싶었고요. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Do we have any other raised hands? Okay, could I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Stasu. Okay.
Okay.
Barbara Costa. And again, if there are folks out in the Zoom land that would like to speak, please raise your hand now, and I'll just call you in order. Barbara, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Barbara?
Barbara, you're muted. Could you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Barbara Costa. I live at 19 Clark Street in Cresskill, New Jersey. I am a teacher in the district for over 22 years. I currently teach at School One. I've been there for 21 years out of my 22 plus years in Fort Lee. I am Hispanic. I am first generation, and I've been working for Ms. Giacomelli for as long as she has been at School One. She has never showed any disrespect or discrimination towards me or my family. And it seems from sitting here in this meeting that there's an ongoing investigation into what has happened or transpired in our school. And I feel like we should just let that investigation run its course and not use this as a forum to discuss Ms. Giacomelli's character. And also, for the record, in all my years being part of the PTA, I think I voted probably a few times, but it always, as the PTA president, it's kind of always just been handed down. There has never been two people pretty much trying to be president of our PTA. So I just wanted to say that, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
There is another participant. Patricia Medina, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Patricia? Patricia, you need to unmute yourself. You do have the floor.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Oh, thank you. I'm speaking from my car, and I decided to participate this time. I've never been in this kind of meeting. So I'm Patricia Medina. My son is attending Fort Lee, #1 school, first grade, and I'm a
Oh, shoot,
professor
did I
at
just
the-
get disconnected?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, we hear you.
So my son is a first grader in the Fort Lee, #1 Fort Lee school, and I'm a professor in Yeshiva University, so I'm kind of like familiar with how the education higher ed works. And so I had an incident with Mrs. Giacomelli a few months ago. I should be writing something to at some point with exact dates, and basically it was over the phone. She yelled at me over the phone, and I was really shocked. So I don't know how much detail I need to provide, but it was I was really shocked that a principal would pretty much behave in that way with a parent in such an unprofessional. It was a very unprofessional way of behaving. And as I said, me as a professor working in higher ed for more than 15 years, it was really shocking that the principal from a school were behaving that way. So yeah, I guess that's all I want to say, unless somebody wants to know more about the incident.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Patricia. Steph Holman, I am promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Steph?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Holman, and I'm a teacher at School One.
oh, hold on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I lived in this town my entire life. My address is 1060 Anderson. Basically, everyone in my family has worked for Fort Lee, so I deeply care about this community, and I feel this is the perfect time to speak up. First of all, thank you, Mr. Rhoda, for all of your dedication and hard work over the past few years. It's been tremendous. I've loved seeing you at games and things in the community, so thank you. I would also like to thank Miss Tanya for the hard work and dedication she's put in to the School One PTA. It has not gone unnoticed. You've worked incredibly hard, long hours, and the teachers and most of the parents really appreciate all that you've done for us. So thank you, Miss Tanya. I would just like to make a quick point also about the emails. I think they are a little excessive, and I don't think it's fair that we are blasting out emails on matters that do not really need to be talked about on a public setting where all these teachers are getting it. And I'm hearing things in the hallway like, did you see these emails? Did you see these? What does this mean? I don't understand. If there's important matters that need to be discussed, we should be getting one email with specific points that pertain to us. And I know this isn't the forum for this, but since it's been brought up so much, I felt the need to express how I feel, that it's a little unprofessional. It's a little emotional, and it's not the proper place in our inbox to be getting these emails. Also, I would like to make a point about Rosemary Giacomelli. I've known her a very long time. I've worked in School One for 7 years, and she has been nothing but kind and compassionate to myself and others. She makes time when time needs to be made, and she is always fair. It's true, we, as School One, we are the largest elementary school. She has the biggest student body, the biggest staff, and it's a lot. We don't have, in the past, we have had vice principals, but not this year. So if you go up to her on the playground at dismissal or drop off, it might be a little hectic for her. But if you try and just say, I'd like to have a time to meet with you, I have always known her to make that time for everyone and to be fair. So I don't think it's fair that we have people jumping on here to discuss private matters and private complaints in front of the entire district. Thank you for your time and for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Anna Vim, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes. And to the rest of the folks out in Zoom land, please do raise your hand now if you have an additional comment. Anna Vim?
No, that's actually my daughter's name. My name is Kate Chung. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kate. Go ahead.
Okay, I live on 275 Point Street. And I'd like to make my point. My daughter goes to School One. She's been attending for 3 years. And I'd like to give my personal view on what happened as well. I was there at the election. And I agree with Amy, Ping, Victoria. I support their views on this because I didn't see any transparency there either, personally. I volunteer with the PTA. I've actually worked with the PTA, and I've seen how hard Victoria worked. And when I attended the election, it was very not clear and unjust. And I want the board members to actually know how parents feel about this. You've heard our views, and we're voicing our opinions because this is really important. You do need to hear us. This is something that you need to look into and investigate. I know you're doing it, but this needs to be looked into. Please hear our voices. We're saying this, we're sending all these email threads, it's going back and forth because it's not being heard. Thank you.
We're promoting Jung to panelists. Jung, please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Hi,
Again,
can you hear me?
Yes, Jung, we can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Jung. I live in 293 Whiteman Street, Fort Lee. And I just have a comment here regarding these issues that were brought up to this meeting. I'm very concerned for the issue, and I hope that it does not develop into a racial issue. In April, my 2 kids who are in 2nd grade and in kindergarten met 2 Caucasian and 1 African-American boy in the Fireman's Park, and they looked about 2nd or 3rd grades. And the kids told my kids, go back to your country, stop spreading COVID, even though my kids were born here and never been in other countries in their lives. And I only realized this conversation at home because my kids told me back at home. And I just want to bring this issue here because I think there is an anti-Asian sentiment in this community. Otherwise, kids can't really say that. But I just want to make a clear clarification here that regardless of the election results, I really do hope that any Asian students in our school, one, don't experience any discrimination. And I hope the issues that are brought up here do not bring a separation between Korean parents and non-Korean parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have no further raised hands. So could I have that motion again to close the floor to the public?
Motion, Richter.
Motion, Richter, second, Rubino, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so let's move on to the resolutions. May I have a motion to approve items 1B through 5B?
Motion, Ramba. Richter.
Motion Ramba, second, Richter. Roll call, please.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino, Ms. Byers Kane,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
She stepped away.
Ms. Dasu,
Yes.
Ms. Joe,
Yes, but I abstain from 1B.
so noted. Ms. Colbath,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve item 1B and G?
Motion, Ramba.
Motion Ramba, second Morel. Roll call, please.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Byers Kane,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Dasu,
Yes.
Ms. Joe,
Yes.
Ms. Colbath,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve items 1 CUR, 1 CUR through 3 CUR?
Let her talk. Motion, Richter. Second, Ramba.
Motion Richter, second Ramba. Roll call, please.
Ms. Byers Kane,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Joe,
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Ms. Dasu,
Yes.
Ms. Colbath,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve items 1F through 8F?
Motion Morel.
Second, Richter.
Motion Morel, second Richter. Roll call, please.
Ms. Han Silver,
Yes.
Ms. Ramba,
Yes.
Ms. Joe,
Yes.
Ms. Byers Kane,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Ms. Dasu,
Yes.
Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Ms. Colbath,
Yes.
motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve items 1P through 24P?
Motion Morel.
Motion Morel, second Rubino.
They never corrected. Oh, thanks.
Ms. Dasu,
2P is Robert is the custodian at school 2, not school 3, and yes.
oh, it's corrected on the one that's posted.
Oh, it is? Okay. I didn't know if it was. Thanks.
it is corrected on the one that was reposted. We apologize. The ones that were, copies were made of
Thanks.
before it was corrected. Ms. Stasu?
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver?
Yes.
Ms. Byers King? Yes. Ms. Ramba?
Yes.
Ms. Cho?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Ms. Richter?
Yes.
Mr. Rubino? Ms. Colbath?
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to approve item 1 POL?
Motion Morel.
Second, Ramba.
Motion Morel, second Ramba. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stasu?
Yes.
Ms. Cho?
Yes.
Ms. Richter?
Yes.
Ms. Ramba?
Yes.
Ms. Stasu?
Yes.
Ms. Byers King? Yes. Mr. Rubino?
Yes.
Ms. Han Silver?
Yes.
Ms. Morel?
Yes.
Ms. Colbath?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Well, I have some new business. Could I use the podium? Because I kind of feel this is way too close to
Yeah, go ahead, use the podium.
You're gonna use it anyway.
Is that still working?
So, Ken and Sharon, from here forward. Sharon, can you come up and, you're a guest of honor here tonight with Ken. We weren't able to
Celebrate in the fall. So this is, I hope, the best part of the evening for both of you. And as everyone knows, Ken is retiring as of July 1st, and Sharon retired last fall. So Ken, first, on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank you, double thank you, triple thank you for everything that you've accomplished here in Fort Lee. We want to thank you for your lifelong commitment to education, not just what you did here. We know that that has been your passion for decades, and we were very fortunate to have you bring all of that experience and commitment here. As Dave pointed out, and as is pointed out frequently, you are the longest serving superintendent, certainly since I've lived in Fort Lee and been active, and that's at least 20 years. And so we think you belong in the Guinness Book of World Records. So we thought it was fitting, rather than buying you just a standard retirement card, that we would all sign a copy of the Guinness Book of World Records for you. And I'd ask, we'll leave it on a chair, and the administrators and others who are here, if you put your words of encouragement and notes, we would appreciate it, so Ken can take that with him come July 1st. In your long, and successful career, you obviously have touched many, many lives, and significantly touched many, many lives, and students and staff alike. I think you'll be remembered here for a long list of things, but from the student perspective, instilling in students a desire to learn and making learning fun by the new type of courses that you brought here, especially at our high school. It engages the students, it's vocational for them. The classes have rigor, but they're also fun. And that will be something that, you certainly will be remembered for, making learning fun. And pushing students to try something different. Those courses, opened the eyes of students and gave them something that they could experiment with, and things that we just didn't have before. So, you've touched students on just so many levels. You came to Fort Lee following a very, what I charitably call a rocky period for our Board of Education. Not so much Mr. Saxton's time, but as an interim, he could only take on so many different initiatives. And you showed up and you rolled up your sleeves, you put the hard hat on, you took those referendums and got the beautiful facilities for us.
You know, we hadn't had major investment in our facilities for a very long time, and we're left not only with facilities, updated facilities, but capital reserve account.
Wait, we lost you.
But we're left with, you know, in a very secure standing with plans to continue to take care of capital projects. And for that, we're very, very thankful. We know dealing with some of the contractors and the larger ones that we had on the projects, you know, was a real challenge, and you rose to it, and you got us through, you know, that difficult period of time. And so, you know, we're eternally grateful for that. There's definitely one theme, because Dave hit on it too, and you led us with like a steady and calm hand. You're not, you know, a screamer or an emotional person, and it makes dealing with you, you know, a pleasure. You know, you put in place here in Fort Lee a tremendous administrative team. The teaching staff is superb. Wonderful nurses, custodians. I mean, with the district now runs like, you know, like a Swiss watch, really. And, you know, you know, with the chief hiring person here, and we're left with, you know, just an extremely solid team, and that's, you know, to your credit. We'll be forever grateful for the strides that you made here academically. On issues of equity. Our schools are, you know, the safest around, all the things that are so important to parents. You spent your time mentoring staff, and we all noticed that, and that makes the staff better. And, you know, you displayed integrity with a capital I. And these, you know, these were my thoughts before I got here. You can see that, you know, your integrity made a tremendous impact, because people who, you know, I didn't speak to Dave and compare notes, and it's one of the things that really sets you apart from you know, other prior superintendents, and just in general. You are a man of integrity, and it's just on display all the time. It's so important in an environment like this, and so I know I speak for the entire board. We're very grateful for that. As you'll see, your cake says something to the effect like, no more attention, hello pension. And so each one of us here on the board wishes you a very long and active retirement, and we really truly hope that you cherish every minute of it. We have a plaque that says some of those things for you. And so let me just, on behalf of everyone, we really, you made this district into something to be proud of.
Let's start that. Come on now.
To your family, I hope they are tremendously proud of you. Like I said to them when they came in, on June 30th, we're all going to be grabbing his leg, trying to like keep him in the building. I like to say a few words. Sure. And there's no, I'd like to share, but we gave her the accolades when she was on the agenda.
Absolutely. And I so much appreciate that. And I would just like to say it was such a privilege not only to serve the Fort Lee Public Schools, but to work alongside Ken, and to piggyback what Paula said. Ken truly is a man of integrity. He is a man of such honor. He always impressed upon us to always not only do things right, but to do the right thing. There was process. He always told us you have to follow the process. And he led by example, and he modeled the very, very best you could possibly imagine. And he very often, whenever I had an issue or a concern, he was a great storyteller. He would tell really great stories to demonstrate how he acted in the past, some of the trials and tribulations and challenges that we all face in this work. I have to say that Paul had mentioned we had this revolving door of bosses. I think at last count, I reported to 25 different people in my tenure in Fort Lee. I had 25 different bosses. Luckily, they all gave me good evaluations. I must have been doing something right. But my greatest boss was Ken. He was the best teacher I've ever had professionally, and I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to have worked with you. Thank you for what you've done for myself, the teachers, and especially our kids. Thank you.
All right. I even wrote it down. I came prepared. I didn't want to ramble. I didn't want to ramble. So I want to say I feel privileged to have worked closely with Mr. Rota for 2 years while I was president. And I definitely learned a lot from you, seeing how you worked with everyone, gaining their respect, and how you managed everything that was thrown at you. And believe me, you know, the last year and a half, a lot was thrown at you. And, you know, and I think after this past year, you definitely earned your retirement. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of trips to Florida, you know, coming up. But, you know, the thing, you know, I know David tried to talk about, you know, everything you've accomplished, but I think the parents and the community members don't even realize the full impact that you've had on the district. You know, we talked about the stability, but, you know, when you came on, I know, you know, when you came on, the board talked to you about all the things we wanted you to work on and the things you wanted to accomplish. But, you know, yes, the referendum, the projects, and the education, but it's even all the things when, you know, we were talking about, you know, when I was thinking about the conversations that we had in the beginning, we were talking, you know, Paula mentioned it, the facilities, not just the new buildings, but we were talking about the facilities. There had been no major efforts or money put into the facilities of our school buildings for the last 25 years, all right, before Mr. Rota came. Because when you have this revolving door and you have the instability, there's an impact on the district. And so we've probably spent more money in the last 6 years than we have in the last 25 years on our facilities. And so that was a major deal. You know, another big thing was talking about the hiring practices, you know, really, you know, cleaning it up, formalizing it, creating a process, like Sharon mentioned. But yeah, I mean, you know, you did so much and you really helped us recover our reputation, you know, as a premier district within, you know, the county, the state. And so that's really a testament to you, your work ethic, your experience as a leader, and how much you've done for us. So, you know, this was our chance to really say it and really, you know, raise you up a little bit and embarrass you and do it in a public forum. So thank you on behalf of the board, the parents, the students, and the community. So good luck. Enjoy your retirement.
Well, I'd just like to be, can you hear me? Short and sweet. Ken, I've said to many people that the job of the Board of Education is to hire a superintendent that does his job. And I think you're a big feather on our cap these past 6 years that we've made our job easy. I know everybody says you work for us, but you did your job. And I think that was a feather in everybody's cap here that hired you and worked with you to get things done and get them done right, because you brought your intelligence and your knowledge to it. And you helped us get along very far. So thank you.
Okay, so am I muted? No. So is stop. So I remember the first night that I met you. I remember when you came in. And I do. And we were all blown away by your interview. And yes, David, Joe did ask him about championships, but I believe he said, Kenny, can you get us championships? And we asked you to come back that night, and you did. And yes, Paul did, as David so eloquently said, on a piece of yellow paper, write a referendum. But it was you that put the referendum into place and gave it life. I've talked to, in the 6 years you're here, a lot of staff members, administrators, and I realized how beloved you are by them, how fair you are. You're a man of character, and what you've done for this district, this community, the children of Fort Lee, goes above and beyond. And I can't even thank you enough. And you're going to be missed. I'm glad that you're going to finally throw your phone away. I believe that Jill said your daughter's going to throw it in the ocean. I'm glad about that, because you need to take care of you and your family and just relax and enjoy, because you deserve it. And you talk the talk, but you walk the walk. And I'm going to miss our conversations, and a lot of them. So thank you. Without crying. Close, 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 very close.
I just want to say good luck. I wish you all the best that you deserve. I know that coming on, I was on the other side and we always didn't see eye to eye, but I do respect you so much now for seeing what you actually do and for welcoming me with open arms. I really felt so welcomed on this board, and for you taking the time to teach me everything that you did. And I really grew to be very fond of you, and I wish you only the best. I really do, that you deserve. Enjoy your retirement and stay healthy and happy. And, you know, we're always here if you want to come visit.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I'm not going to make a rebuttal, but I would just like to say thank you to everybody for the kind words. I appreciate it. And everything I accomplished was part of a team. And I've enjoyed the 6 years here very much. And I've learned an incredible amount from all of you and from the community particularly. But it's been a great part of my career. And I've enjoyed working with people like Sharon, and couldn't have accomplished what we did without Sharon and Keisha and Diane and all the people on the team. And, you know, Pat is here, and all the principals and the teachers who are contacted, and they will make the district special. It is a special place, and I hope you all appreciate that and continue to enjoy it. So thanks again. Thank you for the opportunity.
He's so not gonna miss that. He's so not gonna miss that.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, motion to be, all in favor?
Aye.